this is Reverend Don Lewis coming to you from beautiful Florida. And before we have today's question, let us first look back at last week and last week's viewer's favorite question. And the winner of viewer's favorite question for last week was Demons from Reverend Vivian. Congratulations, Reverend Vivian. And Unlovable from Casamando followed a close second. And we had lovely questions last week, and again this week we shall have a number of lovely and interesting questions, starting today with a question from World Peas. And World Peas writes to say that they're having difficulty with manifestation. And the nature of this difficulty, which has apparently gone on for many years, is that anything they try to manifest invariably comes out backwards. And they give an example of planning a trip and using manifestation and visualization to plan out the trip as they would like to have it, to see it accomplished, to see it already theirs, only to have something come up at the last minute and stop it. And they also say that there are many times when they will see something or think of something and say to themselves, well, I'll never have that, or I'll never see that. And they give the example of seeing a beautiful home and thinking, well, I'll never be inside there. And within a couple of weeks, this thing that they think will not happen invariably comes to pass. In the case of the home they thought they would never see the inside of, they were a guest there within a couple of weeks, totally unexpectedly. And World Peas asks for my take on this and why it might be and what they can do about it. Now, when it comes to problems with manifestation, the first thing that I should say is that when someone is first learning magic and manifestation, of course they're going to have some difficulty with it. Now, magic and manifestation really aren't difficult. People do it every day that they're alive in an unconscious way, but learning to do it consciously can be very difficult. And if you've never done it before, and you have never really been exposed to the idea, well, it might be very difficult to get started. But usually it's because people are trying too hard. And in many cases, if you can give up your preconceived notions and just allow yourself to do it, you'll find it goes a lot more easily. Having said that, sometimes you'll run into a situation like this where a person knows how to do magic, has consciously done magic, and then has something like this that goes on indefinitely. And when you have a situation like this, it's very specific. Every magic user, no matter how accomplished, no matter how long they've been doing it, will sometimes have things fail. But when every single thing goes wrong, that's not something that's just happening, that's a blockage. And when you have a situation like World Peas discusses, what you've got is a blockage and you have to deal with it in that light. So what World Peas needs to do is basically self-healing, or as I usually will refer to it, shadow work. And basically some of the same techniques that I recommended in the question Unlovable last Friday would be equally applicable here, but anything that works with internal blockages will also be applicable. Again, there are many, many examples in my books of how to work with internal blockages, and you can find many examples in different vlogs that we have here at Magic TV. But basically what you're doing is you're using the principles of magic to work on yourself, the principles of spiritual healing to work on yourself. And there are many different ways to do it. There are burnings, there are soul retrievals, there are all kinds of meditations and visualizations. Recently in a vlog I talked about personifying the blockage and giving it healing just as you would if it were a different person. Many ways you can do it, but this is what you need to do. When you're just starting in magic, well, things may not work because you don't have enough practice and maybe you don't even understand yet the principles. But when you know how to do magic, when you have done magic and then things aren't working, you need to look at it as a blockage. Now, why would there be a blockage of this nature for World Peas? And my guess would be that World Peas is afraid of their own abilities. And you meet this very often in life. People think they want something, but they're really afraid to have it. And they will find all kinds of ways to block themselves from it. Of course, I don't know that this is the case for World Peas because I have only what was in the email. But this would be my first thought, and I would say it's probably where they need to look in terms of doing that shadow work. What are you afraid that you might do if your manifestations worked correctly? Because I believe probably that you yourself are causing them not to work correctly out of fear of what you would do if they did. So I would start with that fear and see what it might be for you. See why it would be that you would be blocking yourself. And I think that if you work in that vein, you will find the answer and be able to open that blockage and go forward. Now, another thing that you can do if you're in a position to do it is to find an energy worker and let them work to break up the blockage in an external way. This can also be effective, but you first have to know an energy worker who is sufficiently skilled to do this. But it's another thing that can be done. And again, my books are full of many different ideas, and there are other classes at Witch School which have many other ideas for how to go about this. There are endless techniques, but this is basically what I believe that you need. And it would be my recommendation, and I hope that you find it helpful. And until next time, may you blessed be.
Hello, this is Lady Crystal. I am here with you today to offer today's prayer for peace. I invite you to join me as I do this and to add your energies to this prayer. I pray for peace. I pray for love. I pray for stability. I pray for this nation where I live, and I pray for the world. May peace, true peace, positive peace, reign everywhere. I thank you.
Reverend Don's Omnibus of Incantations and Invocations for All Occasions from witchwillstore.com. This massive compendium of spells and artwork was created by me and Marianne Kay and is available to you to use in any way that you would like from witchwillstore.com. Check it out today.